thank you for watching my video. My name is Roel. I am a health and nutrition coach and a diabetes practitioner, and I post these videos to motivate you to be as healthy as you can be. And after that, I always talk a little bit about my crafting. I like knitting, crocheting, sometimes a little bit of drawing. And I also like to share a little bit of footage of some stuff I've been up to this week. Today, I want to talk about something that we all do all day, every day, but we don't maybe think about as much as we should do, and that is breathing. And maybe you assume that because breathing happens naturally, you don't have to, it's automatic, you don't have to think about it. So maybe you think that you'll be doing that efficiently, but it is well known that that's not the case. And in fact, many of us are very inefficient breathers. We overbreathe, we mouth breathe, when actually we are originally designed to breathe through our nose mostly, not through our mouth. And many of us have sleep disordered breathing without even realizing it. And that can have a massive impact on your overall health, on your sleep, on your energy, your stress levels, and even your long-term health. So in today's video, I want to explore why efficient breathing matters way more than you think, or than you may think. What happens during menopause that changes breathing, and of course, most importantly, what can you do to retrain your body to breathe better, and you can start straight away. So I always like these things that you can do for your health that are easy to do, that don't cost a lot of energy or willpower, and breathing efficiently is definitely one of these things. So let's take a deep, gentle nasal breath and dive into the video. So the hidden problem is that we are a nation of inefficient breathers. It's a bit of a silent epidemic. Many of us have started to breathe mostly through our mouth instead of through our noses. And maybe another problem can be that we breathe too quickly or too deeply, and that's called over-breathing, and that's also not very efficient. And for millions of people, especially as we get older, that can show up as snoring, sleep disturbance, fatigue, brain fog, so serious issues really. I think if you are of a certain age and you're going through menopause or menopause, maybe you've noticed, or maybe somebody else has made you aware of the fact that you started snoring, which is annoying for other people, but it's not great for yourself either. It can really disturb your sleep and actually decrease the quality of your sleep. And personally, I just find it a bit, it's not embarrassing, it shouldn't be embarrassing because you can't help it, but I don't really like the idea that I might be snoring. But it's very common during perimenopause and menopause. Even if you're fit and healthy, like me, I do a lot of exercise, then it can still happen. And you can still have the effects of inefficient breathing. So even if you go to the gym regularly, you maybe even running and very fit, then you can still be an inefficient breather and have the effects of that. But you can retrain your breathing, so that's good news, and that can then help you to stop snoring, improve your sleep quality, and feel calmer and have more energy. And it's good to realize that how we breathe will affect every cell in your body and every organ in your body. So it has a huge impact. And when your breathing is not efficient, you can also feel anxious. You can feel congested. You can feel short of breath, forgetful. You can get brain fog, or just constantly tired, because your body is not getting the oxygen where it needs it the most. So Inefficient breathing carries on during sleep. So if you're in inefficient breathing in the day, that will carry on whilst you sleep, and that can then result into sleep disordered breathing, or SDB for short. So what is that sleep disordered breathing then? It is a spectrum. It can range from mild resistance to airflow whilst you're sleeping, to heavy snoring, or shallow breathing, all the way to obstructive sleep apnea, which is a serious condition, and you might then even need, if you have that, you might even need an oxygen device whilst you're asleep. So that obstructive sleep apnea is where your breathing actually stops altogether whilst you're asleep. And it's way more common than you think, and often goes undiagnosed. Some of the contributing factors to these issues are changes in our facial structure over generations. Because over time we've started to choose softer foods, we use our mouths more, and generally we are breastfed less than previous generations. These things can affect the jaw and airway development, and that changes the way that we breathe and makes it more unnatural. Weight gain has an impact on our breathing, especially around the neck and the tongue area, which can really narrow the airway. Habitual mouth breathing, so if you mainly breathe through your mouth instead of through your nose, then you're bypassing your natural filtration system, which is your nose. And the only role the mouth has in breathing really is to make breathing inefficient. Your nose is a very powerful organ. What it does, it pressurizes and it warms and it moistens the air that we breathe in, and it filters out viruses, bacteria, pollutants. So it's really important to breathe through your nose most of the time, because when you breathe through your mouth, then you send unfiltered air straight into your system, straight into the lungs, and you miss your body's first line of defense, which is actually in your nose. So how you breathe does really, really matter. Now, when it comes to women, like I mentioned before, the peri-menopause and menopause can have an impact on breathing. Women have smaller airways anyway, smaller rib cages than men, and smaller lung volumes, so there's less air in the lungs, or less capacity to have air in the lungs compared to men. And that means that air moves in and out of the female body differently, and for many of us that means less efficiently. And to make things worse, a lot of women subconsciously hold in their tummy to make it look flatter, which actually prevents proper diaphragmatic breathing. So it doesn't enable your diaphragm to move properly. Research has shown that lung function declines faster during perimenopause and menopause than in any other stage of life. And women in this stage are up to 3 times more likely to develop sleep disordered breathing than before perimenopause and menopause. The reasons aren't fully understood, but hormones obviously, again, play a big role. Progesterone, which is one of our key reproductive hormones, actually helps to keep your airway muscles toned and open during sleep. And as your progesterone levels drop, the risk of airway collapse and snoring increases. So that could explain why you suddenly find yourself snoring when you get older. What's interesting is that women with sleep apnea often don't report classic symptoms like loud snoring or gasping. Instead, women are more likely to experience daytime fatigue, low mood, irritability, morning headaches, insomnia, nightmares, or not feeling refreshed after sleep. Does that sound familiar? yeah, some of these things definitely relate to me, and I recognise some of these things. And if that's the case, then it might be worth considering whether your breathing, not just your hormones, are part of that whole picture. Because, you know, we always, of course, blame our hormones for a lot of these problems, and they are often to blame. But it's good to realise that your breathing can also have a big impact on that. There's also a weight connection when it comes to breathing, and that's a lot to do with that sort of sleep hormone cycle. Many women gain weight around menopause, and that can make breathing harder. Fat around the waist and the neck can narrow the airway and make sleep apnea more severe. But the tricky part is poor breathing can also reduce the quality of your sleep, and that then has an impact on your hormones, which can then have an impact on how hungry you feel and how satiated you feel the next day. So that can indirectly then have an impact on your weight. So that's how your breathing efficiency is actually linked to your body weight as well. So you will be more hungry, less satiated the next day when you've had a bad night's sleep, and it's a very frustrating cycle to be in. But the good news is, once you start to improve your breathing, then your sleep and your metabolism often improve too. So then you may feel more energized, you don't feel so hungry the next day, and so all these things can benefit your health. So what are the signs then that you're not breathing efficiently? How do you know that you're not breathing efficiently? Here are some common clues that you can look out for. If you find it hard to keep your mouth closed whilst awake or asleep, but I'm sure when you're asleep you don't really realise whether your mouth is open or not. Although when you have a really dry mouth when you wake up, you probably have been sleeping with your mouth open. But in the day, when you're awake, if you find it difficult to keep your mouth closed for any length of time, that can be an indication that you're not breathing efficiently. If you breathe very noisily whilst you're sleeping, so you might have to ask somebody else about that, and that can also be a sign that you're not breathing efficiently. If you get out of breath very easily during light activity or when you're stressed, or if you often feel anxious, very tense, or maybe even a bit dizzy, these could all be symptoms for inefficient breathing. You can also try a very simple breath hold test. You do that by taking in a normal breath in, so not an extremely deep breath, or just a normal breath in and then out through the nose, and then you pinch your nose closed and you time how long it takes before you feel the real urge to breathe again. If it's less than 25 seconds, then that can be an indication that your body may be overly sensitive to carbon dioxide, meaning that you would benefit from improving your breathing efficiency. 40 seconds would be ideal, so this is just a simple little test that you can do. Now, the best part, like I said, is that you can retrain your breathing at any age, and you can start straight away, and it's not painful, it's not that difficult. It's just an active process that takes a little bit of time and patience, but the benefits can be really life-changing. So let's go through the main steps for that. Firstly is the position of your tongue in your mouth. Your tongue is key to keeping your airway open, and it should really rest flat against the roof of your mouth, with the tip of your tongue just behind your top front teeth. And then you keep your lips closed, but your jaw should be relaxed. If your mouth naturally hangs open, your tongue will drop down, and that will actually narrow your airway, especially at night. So it is better to sleep with your mouth closed. And you might think, well, I don't know when my mouth is open or closed when I'm asleep. The more you practice this in the daytime, the more likely it is that your mouth will be closed when you're asleep. So practice this tongue posture during the day, so your body starts to maintain it unconsciously whilst you're asleep. Nasal breathing, focus on breathing through your nose, silently, slowly and gently. If you're used to mouth breathing, it might take a while to get used to that. Some people use mouth taping. I find that personally a little bit extreme and even maybe a little bit anxiety inducing. The idea that you're going to tape your mouth shut. But yeah, some people do that at night, tape their mouth shut. It's not for me, but you do you. But it is something that can be effective. So if you want to experiment with that, you do you. But I would just try it out in the day and be more conscious of it. I remember reading the book Breath, highly recommended by the way, by James Nestor. I'll put the title and the author in the description box. And definitely after reading that book, or whilst reading that book already, I became so aware of whether I was breathing through my nose or through my mouth, and started to breathe through my nose a lot more. Unfortunately, as when I finished the book and started reading other books, I'll admit I forgot about it again, and now I'm talking about it again. I'm going to be a little bit more aware of it again, and that's the case with a lot of health habits, isn't it? You sort of get focused on it for a while and then you focus on something else and you forget it. So the best thing to try and do is to get some consistency by doing it regularly, and try to be consistent. So not to force yourself to get really into it for an hour every day and then get fed up with it, but to just gently, for a few minutes every day, remind yourself to do that. Breathe through your nose. You can also strengthen your breathing muscles. There are some specific exercises that you can do, because just like any other muscles, your breathing muscles can weaken, especially as we get older and during menopause. So exercises that can strengthen the upper airway and your diaphragm can improve snoring issues and even mild sleep apnea. There is an ear, nose and throat surgeon called Vik Veer, and there are videos showing these exercises, and if I can find them I will link them in the description as well. That's Vik Veer, as in Vik Veer, but I'll put that in the description box. They're quite simple, quick and effective exercises, so if you could get used to doing those daily, that could have an impact. Slowing down your breathing is also very beneficial. Modern life has turned us into over-breathers. We take fast, shallow breaths that can make us actually feel more anxious because it activates that sympathetic nervous system, and it might make you feel lightheaded, tired, and can even trigger palpitations or poor sleep. So try to remind yourself to slow down the breathing and not have that sort of shallow, fast breathing. Slow, light, nasal and diaphragm-driven breathing. Now, building up carbon dioxide, I mentioned this already a little bit earlier, carbon dioxide tolerance can also be beneficial. So it becomes a little bit technical here, but I find it quite interesting. We often think we need to breathe in more oxygen, but actually most of the oxygen that you breathe in, we don't use it, even when you're exercising. The real key is to support your body to release oxygen from the blood to the cells, and for that you need carbon dioxide. And when we become overly sensitive to carbon dioxide, we start to breathe too much. And ironically, it's going to make you feel short of breath, even though you're breathing more. So to fix this, you have to practice gentle breathing exercises that will create a tolerable feeling of hunger for air. For example, when you go for a walk, close your mouth and just breathe through your nose. So even though you're mildly exercising, you try to do that by breathing just through your nose. And it can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that's a good thing, because that's your body learning to tolerate carbon dioxide again, and that's beneficial. And if it feels too much, then slow down with the walking or take a break and then try again. But then you can build up that tolerance. A few minutes of nasal walking, it sounds weird, nasal walking, as if you're walking with your nose, each day can make a big difference. So over time, so give that a try. Consistency is everything. So practice that tongue posture in your mouth every day, a little bit of nasal breathing whilst at rest, and then a little bit of gentle walking with your mouth closed with a little bit of air hunger. These 3 things can make a big difference. And even a few weeks of doing this can help to improve your sleep, feel more energy, and be more resilient to stress. Be patient. It might take a little bit of time, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big effort. So I think it's a nice thing to add to your daily routines. And of course, if after 3 months you still have problems with sleep, sleep disordered breathing, then of course do talk to a health professional to find out what's going on. So to recap, breathing is important, efficient breathing. It's not about taking big breaths, it's about taking better breaths through the nose, slow, light and steady. And we can retrain our breathing, especially in midlife as we get older, so we can sleep better, feel calmer, and will support your heart, your brain and your metabolism. If you found this video helpful or interesting, then give me the thumbs up or a hype, whatever that is. I think it's a good thing. Or leave a comment. I love reading your comments, and I do try to reply to all of them. And maybe even subscribe to my channel so I can grow it. I would really love that. And if you're interested in my crafts, then hang on. If not, then thank you for watching. Don't forget to set yourself one little action this week that you're going to take to be healthier or happier, or both. I think they're very linked. And that could be to do with your breathing. Maybe you're going to try a few of these practices that I talked about today, or maybe it's something completely different. You know what you need to do, and keep it small and easy, so you're definitely going to do it, and then you're going to become consistent, and then you'll be successful. If you're still here by now, then you probably want to hear about my crafting this week. So I was hoping to show you my finished Cove Kettle vest top, and then I ran out of yarn. How did that happen? Because obviously I bought the right amount of yarn. Well, I know how it happened, because my tip to you, if you're not already doing that, is to read a pattern completely and fully before you start knitting, and even per section read ahead to see what's coming up, so you don't end up doing what I did and follow the pattern, and then suddenly it says, meanwhile, also do this. So I'd already gone too far before I read the meanwhile bit, and that meant that I knitted a little bit further than I should have done before starting the splitting for the armholes. So in this vest top, at some point you stop to start knitting back and forth for the armholes, and I'd gone about 5 to 6 centimeters, so that's a good 2 inches too far to realize that I should have started doing that. I didn't want to go back, and also I'm 6 foot tall, so I thought my body probably is 5 centimeters taller than average body anyway, so I wasn't going to sweat it, and I just continued. But that did mean that I ran out of the creme anglaise, the yellow yarn, and yeah, there's no way that I could wing it somehow. So I've done the back totally, and started on the front bit, and then all I have to do when I finish that is the the edges on the collar and the side. So I had to order another bowl of another, what do you call it? I forgot the word, skein of the creme anglaise. I didn't actually bring it here to show you, but I think you probably know what it looks like. It looks like that. It's the yellow colour. I bought it in Loop, London. This yarn that I'm using, which is the Rerum Natura, is the brand, and it's Gilead, that's the yarn, is not actually widely available. It's not really difficult to get, but there's not that many shops that sell it. I bought it in Loop, London, and so I ordered another skein. It's £15.50, and then I had to pay postage as well, so it did cost me around £20, which is a bit annoying, but yeah, obviously I'm not going to not finish it now, so hopefully next time this will be done. But because I couldn't do that, I had to start something else. Well, I was going to start something else anyway, because I told you I was going to start the Ooey Gooey sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I will leave the link for all these patterns underneath the video. And I was going away last week, or we were going away last weekend to a wedding in Abergavenny in Wales, and I definitely had some knitting time on the train, but I didn't really want to bring a new sweater project for that, so I ended up casting on the Ooey Gooey socks, because Andrea Mowry also came out with a pattern for the Ooey Gooey socks. And really fun project, really happy with it. And I've started on the, Andrea Mowry often uses the flugel, or in other sock pattern of her, I've also come across this flugel heel, and I really like it. It's a heel, this is a toe up sock. I do love a toe up sock, and one of my lovely viewers suggested that for you could do a tubular bind off for a really nice bind off the top of the sock, because I mentioned that when you do a toe up sock, that can be a little bit of an issue, that the cast off, the bind off is going to be a little bit too flexible, and it's tricky to get that right, because if you do a very I like is it called Jennifer's super stretchy bind off, can make it too stretchy, so it's finding that balance between too tight and too stretchy. So I'm definitely going to try that tubular bind off. But yeah, started it, love the pattern. So it's that same Ooey Gooey pattern that's going to be in the sweater, but the sweater I'm going to do in different colours. I'm going to do that with get it, with these two colours, so it won't be matching socks with the jumper. But these are just yarns from Stash. I don't actually know what the pink is, the peachy pink. I forgot. It might be Scheepjes, but I'm not sure. But this one is definitely Drops. I think it's Drops Fable. So yeah, super happy with that. And then when I got back from Abergavenny, I did cast on the Ooey Gooey jumper, and I got as far as completing the short rows. So you start with a 1x1 collar in this colour, and then I'm going to add the grey, so these are going to be the two colours, and it's going to have that Ooey Gooey pattern in the yoke and in the sleeves as well. So yeah, short rows are in the 1x1 pattern. So I'm now ready to go on to the bigger needles to start the yoke, increase for the yoke. Very happy with that. Love knitting with this the Rerum Natura yarn. Really nice yarn. It's just how I like it. Sort of feels a little bit rustic, but not too rustic. Just a nice level of what do you call it? Rusticness. and it's 100% wool. That's all the information you get about it. 100% wool. Don't know what kind of wool, but I like it. So yeah, that was all the knitting. I sent off the little baby socks to my niece. She hasn't received it yet, but I hope they still fit, because that's always a problem with knitting for babies. And I also did a drawing for her on a card, and I will link a photo of that after my chatting. And I drew and coloured a picture of her baby that that I saw. She sent me on WhatsApp, so enjoyed doing that. That was my crafting. Then I have some acquisitions, because obviously I had to find out whether there was a yarn store in Abergavenny, which, by the way, Abergavenny is lovely. I haven't been to Wales a lot. I've been to Cardiff, and I do like Cardiff a lot. Stayed there for a few days a couple of years ago, and that was it. I think, oh yeah, once we took our daughter to a holiday camp somewhere in Wales, but we didn't sort of stay anywhere. And Abergavenny is lovely. It's not very big. It's a small town, very old, and really enjoyed it. It's surrounded by mountains, and wherever you are in the town, you can see the mountains. So I guess the town is sort of a bit in a valley, and you have lovely views all around. And we had a lovely wedding party, and I did a lot of dancing, which I hadn't done for a long time. The music was cool, but not really my kind of music, but actually I did really enjoy dancing again. It was very rocky, very actually sort of very hardcore rock metal kind of vibe, and the band was all sort of very 70s dressed, and yeah, it was great. Lovely party. I had a great time. It was about 2.5 hours on the train direct from Manchester, so it wasn't too bad. So the yarn store was called, I don't know what it was called, Woolcroft, that was what it was called. And obviously I didn't need anything, but still bought something. It's always nice to support the yarn store. Now, I should have taken this out before, because now I realise I'm going to do that annoying plastic rattling. I always like to buy some local yarn wherever I am. And the local yarn I bought is from a local yarn dyer, and it's called Antidote Yarns and Designs. Yarn is the remedy, and it certainly is. And it's a very bright orangey red colour. I'd say probably more orange, bright red orange. And I think it will look fabulous as sort of an accent colour, even sort of with a boring grey. I think it will look really nice, or especially with a boring grey. And I bought well, it's not a boring grey, it's a beautiful grey from Woolstock Light fingering Blue Sky Fibres, and I think that's South American. And you can see how fabulous that looks with grey. So I look forward to maybe making some socks with that. This grey feels really soft, actually way softer than the orange. I can really feel the difference now. I think they're both merino, if I'm not mistaken. The Blue Sky Woolstock Light fingering by Blue Sky Fibres is 100% fine Highland wool, and the colour is Grey Harbour, and this is a 50 gram, I think. Yeah, 50 grams. I know there's a fingering weight. So super happy with that. Then I also bought another one of those because I wanted 100 grams. So that's exactly the same one. And then I had my eyes on it for a long time. It's the Granny Square Flowers card deck. So there's also a Granny Square card deck non-flowers. I think that came out first. It's mix and match design and crochet, and I think it comes with a QR code for videos as well, and there's loads of different flower pattern granny squares, so I'm definitely going to have a go at that. And whilst that was there, I thought just in case I want to do some of that crochet on the way back, I bought a few cotton, but they're just great. Oh, I feel really conscious now that I'm rattling away, and that's annoying. I bought some Serdar Happy Cotton crochet. Well, actually you can use it for anything. It's DK. A few happy colours to do some of those flowery crochet squares with. Just need to, oops, some of the stuff has come undone. Rattle, rattle. Some things I'm not going to show you because they're presents. A little bit of orange, yellow, pink. I'm sure I've got a green as well, and a red. So these colours I think will make really nice flower granny squares, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to make with that yet, but I'll see. I'm just going to make a lot of squares and then get some inspiration. There's so many lovely patterns with the squares. This skein has become a little bit undone, so I've got to be a little bit careful with that. And it is Ultimate Sock Fingering Weight, and this is 75 merino superwash and 25% nylon, and it's about 385 meters per 100 gram. And this is Malabrigo, and that is quite a well-known yarn brand, and I just loved the colour. And that also is actually, it's a little bit similar to, it's actually very similar to that one, but this is fingering, so that's going to be used for fingering weight projects. So yeah, some lovely goodies that I bought. Then I also bought some stitch markers. Oh gosh, it's in a paper bag. Why am I doing this? I'm so sorry. It's not a lot. And these, I bought these because they are clementines, and one of my granddaughters is called Clementine, so I just thought that was cute. And I think I'm going to use them as progress keepers rather than stitch markers. Yeah, the shop is called the Woolcroft in Abergavenny, and I don't think they sell online, which is a shame. Now I've told you all about them, but yeah, it seemed like a very lovely local yarn store where they organise craft clubs, and yeah, it's sort of actually a bit of a, not a real dream, but say one of these sort of dreams for if you win the lottery kind of dreams. I would like to own a yarn store with a coffee shop inside and organise craft clubs. I think that's the dream. Right, let's get this paper bag out of the way. That was it for my crafting, and I hope you had fun doing whatever you love doing this week. Do share if you feel like it. I'd love to hear what you've been making, creating, and I will stick on a few videos and some photos of Abergavenny, and I did also do a little bit of filming in the yarn store. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. I've been a little bit inconsistent with the days that I'm posting these videos because I'm sort of trying to find the best day. I actually think Wednesday is going to be the best day, but by the time I've edited this, it's probably Thursday when it comes out, but I'm thinking of doing it on Wednesday. Do you care? I don't know. Maybe you don't care. Yeah, I just thought I'll let you know that that's why it's been a little bit inconsistent, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. Take care, lots of love, bye.